Be very careful what you wish for, folks. You just might get it. I'm sure there's a lot of people in my audience wondering, why haven't we seen the Epstein files? Donald Trump promised us if we elected him that all of this stuff would be exposed and people would go to jail. And yeah, you see, once it gets out what was really going on, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to have to look in the mirror and do a gut check, because the reality has been staring folks right in the face for a long time. They just haven't wanted to see it. Florida Marquis, it is that traitorous Attorney General Pam Bondi. She said the files are on her desk for review. What does she need to review them for? Why can't she just show them to us? Well, you see, she's caught between a kind of a rock and a hard place. You see, if you think Doge is exposing a lot of wasteful spending, if she would release these files right now, the U.S. government would be sued for billions and billions of dollars, and that would be your money down the drain, going right into the pockets of a lot of people out in Hollywood. Why? We're going to get into it. I'm going to explain this to you. It's called defamation of character and libel. And it's not really like what you would think in a criminal trial. It's more a civil trial, and that's where the trap comes in. You see, if she would release these files and make it seem as if, guilt by association, that people on the plane were engaging in criminal acts, the U.S. government could get sued. Unless she's got a case, unless she has a case that she is rock solid on, that she can prove for a fact that somebody actually did something that was a crime, she releases these files. Slander, libel, defamation of character, the lawsuits will pile in like no other. But there's more to it. There's much more to it than this. Now, real quick, before we get into this, as always, I never want to forget biblical values first. Gratitude. Thank you to everyone who continues to join us, the Florida Marquis Patreon channel. And that's what this is really about. People who have stepped up over the last year, 2 years, and have said, Florida Marquis, we know what's going on. They don't want us to know the truth, and you've been putting up videos nearly every day for the last, what is it now? 8, 9 years. We want you to continue to show us the truth, to reveal for us the things that the media likes to use tricks to keep us from seeing. Psychological operations, that was my avenue, my lane, so to speak, in the U.S. military. If you'd like to join us over there, we have a brand new video up. It's only about a day old. I think you're really going to like to see it, but there are hundreds and hundreds of videos over there going back all the way to 2019. There's 4 levels. There's $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, and $15 a month. And there's content over there for everybody. So whatever you could afford, if you can support, God bless. Thank you so much. $2 a month comes out to just a matter of a few pennies a day. I could sure use your help, guys. Thank you so much. Let's get right into it. You see, Anna Paulina Luna is leading a task force. She's also from here in Florida. And even she has said, hey, Attorney General Pam Bondi, what needs reviewed? What needs reviewed? We need to see those files right now. Declassification, of course, JFK and UF aliens and all this other stuff. And a lot of people are still wanting to, see this Epstein client list thing. You see, there's a problem. Let's hop into the Wayback Machine. A lot of people don't realize how long ago this was when all these alleged activities were going on. We're talking a couple of decades now. We're talking 15 to 20 years ago. And here's a picture. Donald Trump as a proud Democrat at the time, proud registered Democrat, voting Democrat, supporting Democrat causes. He even pardoned recently Rod Blagojevich from Second City in Chicago. You might want to look into that. That's another video for another day. But here is him and his brand new wife. Brand new wife, Melania. There wasn't even a whisper of anyone named Barron yet. brand new hot model wife, Melania, and of course, the infamous couple, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. This is, of course, at Mar-a-Lago. Pay attention. Pay attention. Here is another picture from Mar-a-Lago. From Mar-a-Lago. And this is, of course, Melania Trump, yet again, Melania Naus, with her good friend, the Prince. Prince Andrew. That's right. Remember Prince Andrew, don't you? Everybody remembers Prince Andrew. Let's see if we can bring up that. Yep, here he is. Here he is in the famous "Where's the Child" picture. Everybody wants to yell pedo, 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 pedo this, pedo that. Where's the child in this picture? Don't see one. But let's continue. You see, it's very strange how many people who have ended up in jail or are associated with Epstein Island, Little St. James Island, ended up at parties at Mar-a-Lago. You see, this is Jeffrey Epstein and his newly minted girlfriend, a girl named Gwendolyn Beck. That's right, Gwendolyn Beck. Now, just for reference here, Melania Trump is about my age-ish, so is the Prince, I believe. Gwendolyn Beck, and I'm in my mid-50s, by the way. Gwendolyn Beck, about 10 years older, maybe less, about 9. And, of course, Mr. Epstein's about, I believe, 20 years older than I am, so he would have been in his 70s. So once again, Gwendolyn Beck. Now, Gwendolyn Beck is a name not a lot of people are familiar with, but guess who she was rolling around in the hay with for quite some time? Yes, that's right. In fact, she was attending orgies with her buddy Bob Menendez, in jail now. Just recently got the hammer dropped on him and put in a hole for all sorts of financial crimes going back years and years and years and years and years. Yeah, you see, her and Menendez used to attend parties at Mar-a-Lago and at Little St. James Island. Now, isn't that interesting? Let's get here real quick. Gwendolyn Beck, female banker and ex-girlfriend of disgraced New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, took part in orgies with Jeffrey Epstein and his victim, Virginia Giuffre. Now, isn't that odd? Isn't that odd that the same girl that is rolling around in the hay with Menendez, who's in jail right now, was also the girlfriend of Mr. Epstein? And here they are at Mar-a-Lago. Isn't that interesting? Of course, this is from a special that was taped on NBC a long time ago. This is Mr. Trump, even years before that, with the Miami Dolphins cheerleaders in this particular scene that he's invited to, have a party. And he's, of course, 30 years older than all of them at that time. And, of course, here's Miss Giuffre in the picture, trying to make people feel bad for her because she was basically an out-of-control teenager who was able to go disappear off to some rich billionaire dude's island without her parents knowing anything about it or anybody who was in charge of her life knowing anything about it. But it is odd. It is very strange that we do see pictures of very young girls. Wasn't it that was the quote Mr. Trump said? Yeah, boy, Jeffrey Epstein, I know the guy, like him. He has a lot of girls kind of on the younger side. Kind of on the younger side. You see, here's what it boils down to, kids. And it's just human nature. This is Mr. Trump long time ago when he was a young man. And his absolutely stunningly beautiful wife, Ivanka Trump's mother, Ivana. Diehard Democrats at this time. Absolute, as far to the left Democrats as you could be at that time. Every man wants to feel like he's not getting old, like he's not dying, like he's younger again. And here he is, this is 1976. I was only 6 years old when this picture was taken. Here's him with the spitting image of his young wife at about the same age, relatively speaking, 30 years later, Stormy Daniels. If you were a billionaire, I'm going to ask this question. I know 10 minutes in. I'm going to ask this question. Guys, if you were a billionaire, how many of the things that you would do with that money would be centered and predicated around stopping the aging process? Living life like you did when you were younger. How many of you would employ the best doctors and spend your time working out and getting back in shape and dropping the weight and would be spending your time probably with girls that were much younger? How many of you? Almost all of you. Almost all of you. Here's, of course, Donald Trump. Very famous picture from, once again, that era, the Epstein era. Why are you showing these pictures? This is the Epstein era. Everything they're talking about that occurred on Epstein Island occurred when these pictures were all being taken. Playboy bunnies, his daughter, and his new young girlfriend. And here are some pictures that were released on Fox News some years ago. And this is some of the girls literally at Epstein Island. This one's a little bit more blurry. Bunch of teenage girls acting like goofballs at Epstein Island. This was a European girl that got to sit behind the controls, became a pilot, that also was at Epstein Island. Here's Mr. Trump in pictures at different ages of his own daughter. This is Ivanka at different ages. I believe here she's probably about 9. Here she's about 12, 13. And here she's about 15, 16. Trump surrounded by 20-year-old, 21, 22-year-old Miami Dolphins cheerleaders. Another picture of Donald Trump and his young daughter. You see? This is why you're probably not going to hear much. This is why you're not going to hear much about the Epstein files. Because it all tracks back to Mar-a-Lago. It all tracks back. Everything traces back to Mar-a-Lago. And the current sitting president. And believe me, if Pam Bondi decides that she wants to go releasing lists and trying to play the guilt by association game, meaning that Mr. Epstein had lots of friends. Mr. Epstein had lots and lots of friends. If you're going to try to play this game, if you're going to try to go slander people and say that this actor or that actor or this other politician or this other politician, well, they were on his flight logs, so what can we divine from the fact that they were on his flight logs? You see, that's an attempt, unless there is a crime to be proved. Remember, she is the Attorney General. So her actions reflect the office of someone whose job it is to prosecute crimes. So she has to be very freaking careful what she does and how she behaves and the information she releases, because mark my words, if she would just drop a huge list and say, oh, look at all these people. Look at all these people who are 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degrees away from Mr. Epstein. Oh, I tell you what, the gates of hell would open up about the 1, 2, and 3 degrees away from Bob Menendez and Gwendolyn Beck and Prince Andrew and all of the parties that started at Little James that ended up back at Mar-a-Lago. So, just saying, here's your smoking gun. Here's your connection. This blondie right here, who's smiling, being welcomed to Mar-a-Lago by Prince Andrew and Melania Trump, is the ex of Bob Menendez. At this time, dating Jeffrey Epstein. Slam dunk. Slam dunk. So, just saying. Look at all the facts, and it'll be staring you right in the face of what the real big secret is that they're keeping. Tell me they couldn't be twins. Tell me they couldn't be twins. On the right, once again, 1976, on the right, 1976, a very, very young Donald Trump and his new wife, Ivana. On the left, 30 years later, porn star Stormy Daniels and same aforementioned President Donald Trump. Guys, come on. At least the guys in my audience, can you be honest for a minute? You're off at some golf charity thing. You've got a brand new hot model wife at home who's, at this time, the picture on the left was being taken when Barron had just been born. And you run into a girl that is literally a doppelganger twin of the woman that you married when you were in your 20s. Maybe early 30s, when you were young, and you felt powerful, and you have a chance. You have a chance just to have a night, just to have an afternoon with her. Oh, and you're a Democrat. And you're a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. You're not in politics at this time. 2006, Donald Trump wasn't in politics. He wasn't running for anything. He was just a rich guy. 2006, he was just a rich guy with a bunch of money. Why the hell wouldn't you? I'll leave it there. If you think the millions or, a couple single-digit billions of dollars that have allegedly been saved by this guy are a good idea, if you don't want to see that wasted, you might want to take a pass on playing this game with having the chief law enforcement officer of the United States start libeling and slandering and defaming people through guilt by association. Because, believe me, civil court judges won't be nice about this. It'll add up to billions in liability. Billions and billions in liability for you and me. So, anyway, once again, in those contexts, $2 a month? $2 a month would make a big difference to me. Join us, Patreon. Love to have you over there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.